Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Dye Studio Designs. Today we're going to do what I hope will be a quick DIY project, making mushrooms out of clay. So I already made one, and I kind of want my mushrooms to be about that size. And with a little bit of realistic details. I don't want to go too far with it. I want it to be a very simple DIY project, and most of the mushrooms, I want to make like 5 or 6 mushrooms, and this will be the biggest one. I think all of the rest of them I want to be a little bit smaller, so I'll make like 5 or 6 smaller versions of this. I think this was a good attempt at recreating something organic and something that looks like a mushroom. So this is going to be our project today. Okay, and we're going to use our DAS clay, our air dry clay, to create 5 or 6 of these to go onto a project that I'm working on. So welcome to my video, and let's have a little bit of fun with some clay. All right, so before we start, I'm just going to go over the supplies that I used, and I'm going to have an accompanying blog with this DIY that will have all kinds of affiliate links and stuff in it. Links to the if not the exact product, and something very similar that I'm using, so you can kind of maybe try and do your own, right? So the first thing I started with was the DAS clay. I think you can find it on Blickart, but I think I bought it from Amazon. It's the most popular air dry clay, and it's fairly easy to work with. It's pretty easy to work with. I'm liking it. I'm learning. I'm still a novice. I am learning. I'm learning project by project, right? So anyway, we have the DAS air dry clay. It dries by air. It's in the name, right? So we have that. And then I'll be using like a variety of sculpting tools for clay. I'm not sure where I got this from. I'll have to look it up, and I'll probably put a link in the blog. So these are just plastic tools that can do a bunch of stuff. They have a bunch of different edges and stuff like that. And I threw this in the mix, a plastic knife, because you know, you can pretty much use anything you got on hand to sculpt. You don't need special tools. You may need some stuff when it's dry to sand, you know, to sand the clay. These are all kinds of files that I have to sand clay and do different things with it. You can just use regular nail files. I don't know why I have tweezers in my toolkit, but I do. And then I have this fancy one that my husband gave me. It's got a lot of stuff in it that you can use for sculpting clay. Disclaimer, I haven't used any of them, I don't think, except for maybe this one. I haven't used any of these yet, so I have absolutely no idea what they do, but I'm learning project by project. But this is a really cool little toolkit that I have. So the other thing that you might want is something to roll your clay. So I'm just using a bottle, but anything that's round for you that you can use a rolling pin. Just don't use the same rolling pin you use for baking. Also, what you want to have on hand is a little bit of slip, which is just clay that's been watered, has water content in it to make it sort of, I don't want to use it too much, but sort of just so you're using this as a glue, okay? And this is what you're going to use to fix things like cracks or imperfections. But you're also going to use this to attach clay pieces together so they stay together. This is kind of going to be part of the glue that holds them together. You want like maybe a little bowl for water, so that you can dip your fingers in and clean your fingers up. Let's see, what else would you need? We got our rolling pin, we got our slip, we got our clay tools, your hands. I mean, and you just need a surface that you can use that, you know, you'll be able to roll out your clay and peel it up, something you don't care about messing with. But other than that, you really don't need a lot of tools. So that's my setup for today. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I'm using for this project for tools. All right, so these were the drawings I did. I sort of did out some rough sketches to kind of play around with styles of mushrooms. This was something I had bought at a store. I don't even know where I bought it. But I thought it was interesting. I wanted to study the ridges on it and this little collar and the, like the gills underneath and stuff. I wanted to just sort of the shape of it. And between that and studying the, you know, doing drawings. And these, I had also previously made mushrooms. These are not good. These were my absolute first attempt at making probably anything with clay. So I had created these little mushrooms. I mean, they're not great. I was obviously not very good at smoothing out and making gills and all that stuff, so that's going to be like, hopefully when I make these in this session, that I will make them more like this and less sloppy like that. Having said that, I mean, I've done some really cool stuff with clay. This was one of my first ones. Again, it's sloppy. The texturizing is very sloppy, but this was my absolute first attempt. Other than these mushrooms, and actually I think I made these mushrooms to go on this bottle. So I did the mushrooms first, and I did this bottle. And I learned a lot doing this, because this was the first time using clay. It's not bad for my first time, but it's really rough, really rough. But the good news with air dry clay is that you can go and you can wet the surface and soften it again, and then try and do stuff with it to clean it up. So yeah, this has potential still, and we'll see what we can do with it. But anyway, I'm off topic. Yeah, mushrooms. So this is kind of, I think what I'm going for is maybe one like that. I don't want a red cap because I think the color won't work. It'll be just too red from the castle, you know, castle design and the fairy house design I made. The color will just be too red. But I might use like a brown earth tone kind of color, some kind of beige and brown and white or something like that. So anyway, that's the plan for going forward. And now we're going to see if we can pull it off. Okay, so let's get into this project. Isn't that cool? I love how it feels very organic as you do it with your hands. So let me put that aside. We're going to move this. All right, so what I have to work with is my water for my fingers, and I have a little bit of slip that I previously made. Slip is the clay in the water to soften it up, to make it gooey, to fix things, and to create the like glue, like adhesion. And my work surface here that I don't mind getting dirty. The first thing we want to do before we work with this air dry clay is you just kind of want to knead it like you would knead dough, and it's called conditioning. And it just helps get rid of any stiffness in the dough so that we can work with it. Did I just call it dough? I mean clay. It feels like we're working with dough, right? So anyway, right off the bat, I just started this video and already I'm just losing my mind. But anyway, for this, to get us started, I think I want to get this rolled into like a ball to get us started. And this is like the biggest, this is actually the biggest size that I think I would want. I want stuff that's smaller. I want smaller mushrooms. So I think the rest of them are going to be smaller. So the way I started with that one is I rolled it into a ball. And then I tried to use my pinky finger to get that indent going on in the middle here, but my nail created some problems. So, you know, when you're sculpting, you could just use whatever's on hand, whatever works. So this is how I got my first one started. It's actually a perfect size. The tip of that is like the perfect size to create a little indent in the center there. You know, it was what I had on hand. So, and it ended up being the perfect size. So, and then what I did with the other ones is I sort of flattened out on either side. I just gave it like a flat area, and that's where the little gills are going to be, those ridges. Just wanted to give it a place. And now we kind of have that quick. We have a mushroom cap. Literally that quick. There it is. So what I'll do now, you can use any tool you have, but I think what I'll do now is I will, and because my hands shake, I have a condition. And it makes it difficult for me to do things without my hands shaking violently. So I will, and I'm sorry, this is a little bit away from the camera, but we are just, and it don't have to be perfect. These are where the gills are. This does not have to be perfect. It's not perfect in nature. And you just need something kind of pointy that you can pull this off with. Right? And then when you're done, it looks like that. And then what I'd like to do is create this little lip that's around here, that it's where the cap, top part of the cap meets the gills, there's usually a partition line there. So let's see if I can do this far away from the camera with my old eyes. That's, you know, you get to a certain age and all of a sudden you have old eyes. Couldn't tell you when that happened. All right, here we go. Yeah. It's looking pretty good here. And we're back where we started, I think, right? I want to redefine this a little bit. Give them my old eyes. Okay. So that's the underneath of that mushroom. That quick, we have a mushroom. Just that quick. And again, you know, you can make all different kinds of shapes and stuff. but I'm going for something really simple. Just really, really basic and really simple. All right, so we got one cap done. Let's see, we got 2. Let me do like 4 more like that. And doesn't, I'm going to try and make them all different sizes. Let's condition this a little bit. And there's our ball. Stick that in the middle. And we'll flatten the sides. So if I can do this, you can do this, because I'm literally a novice at doing clay. I mean, I can show you what I started. These were the versions that I started with. These were the first things I ever made with clay. So as you can see, a vast difference between the two, right? But you don't need to have years and years of experience to work with clay. What I would suggest, though, is I would suggest that when you're trying to do these sculptures for like things that are natural items, I would suggest that you take a look at the real thing. Take a look at drawings, take a look at photos, the real thing if you can. See what it looks like, so that you can have, it doesn't have to be hyper realistic, but so that you can add elements to it to make it look believable, to make it look more realistic. Even if you're doing something that's whimsical, you still want to add some details that are realistic. So take a look at that. Like, there are little details, like this little detail I'm doing right now, where you go around the rim underneath. Nobody's going to really look at that, right? But it's what, like somebody who draws. There's a saying called draw through, where you do the details even if they're going to be covered up, because they matter. So, and details do matter. So let's finish this. But yeah, definitely, so I looked at, look at that, isn't that cool? Okay, and I think I might want to try and make something a little bit, whoopsie, a little bit smaller than these, because I want to make different sizes. So I'm going to make a few that are smaller than them. So yeah, I mean, and this one here is one that I bought at a store. So you could see where I'm going with this, right? They have this ridge underneath, and they have these gills here. And then when I do the stems, they also have texture in them. So you can see where I'm going with it. I'm just trying to look at the form and look at what. And then if you're new to clay, be realistic about the fact that you're new to clay, and only do simple forms, right? So, all right, we have a smaller ball. Hopefully this will be, now the challenge is I got to find something on hand that I can poke the center with. Something on hand. I don't know, I'm going to stick with this. If it's too big, then I'll just fill in the center. Stick with what works, right? All right, that's not too bad. All right, so we're going to flatten out the sides. And I love this clay. It's so malleable. It's like you can just do all kinds of stuff with it. course, I'm a novice with clay and I haven't used some of the other clays. I'm a little intimidated by some of the other clays that are out there. What I like about making mushrooms, though, is all these bumpy things, and that's stuff that's found in nature. So I don't have to worry about perfection. I probably should have conditioned this a little bit. I see some cracks in there, but I think we're going to be okay with that. All right, now let's start working around this edge. And, you know, I'm using just a sharp tool to do this, but you can do anything. You can use any tool at hand. Literally anything you have around the house you can use. The idea is, that's kind of cool. That's going to be cool when it has a lid on, or a stem on it. All right. This is feeling just a slight bit dry, so I think I might use just a little bit of water on that as I'm conditioning it and rolling it around. I might have used too much water. All right. And I mean, you can make a conical shape too. You can definitely make like a cone shape with it and do something, you know, something like that. And maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll give that a shot. Worst can happen is I don't like it. Let's smooth out the side here a little bit though. A little happy accident. Maybe I'll do that. I hadn't intended on doing a conical shape, but maybe we'll do it. All right. Let me just kind of get it straightened out a little bit though, flatten out. Give it that water. Stick our hole in the center. Okay, and then just do the same thing. We'll flare the sides out with, I'm going to have to go in there, push that in a little bit deeper. Let's push that in just a little deeper. Yeah, let me talk a minute about using forms while I'm thinking of this. Because I have created conical shapes before, experimenting with doing roof designs for a project that I'm working on that I will be unveiling very shortly, probably within the next few days. I've got some kind of hair on there. Forms. So I used, what did I use at first? I think I used aluminum foil at first to create a shape. Sorry, I have a piece of fur, cat fur. I have cats, so their fur gets everywhere. Yeah, so I used, I just bumped the camera, I'm sorry. I used aluminum foil to create a conical form for a roof. I wanted like a cone roof, conical roof on a castle. And again, you'll see that. I'm unveiling that in the next few days, I think. because I couldn't figure out how to make a castle. I was playing with roof ideas. All right, I think I can live with that. Here we go. All right, so what I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm going to do one more of these tops. I think I want to make the next one as small as I can possibly make it, because these are, I wanted to make different sizes. Oh, yeah, I was in the middle of a sentence, wasn't I? So I made a conical clay roof. And inside initially I had an aluminum foil, and that didn't work out at all. And then I took a piece of cardboard and I made that into a cone shape. And then I built around that cardboard with clay. And you still see pieces of the cardboard inside. So this was just me experimenting. This was literally, I was experimenting. I was seeing what I could do with this clay. I don't know. I mean, I could probably salvage this. And I probably will in another video. I think I'm going to plan another video where I salvage some of the earlier stuff that I did. Because you can do that with air dry clay. You can reuse it, soften it. You can sand it, all kinds of stuff. But that's for another video. But anyway, you can use forms. So if you wanted to use like aluminum foil to create forms for these mushrooms, you could do that. And then just build around it with thin pieces of clay. Because I'm making this for something that I'm selling and I want it to be sturdy, I want it to be solid clay. So, all right. And this is our wee one, our wee little cup. It's adorable. It's so tiny. All right, and I'm not going to get too crazy with that. Let's do the gills as much as I can with this little bit. And hoping with my old eyes that I'm actually making this look good, because I'm having to be a bit farther away from it than I would normally be when I'm working on things. I don't know if any of you out there are like, you know, we're going to say 50 plus. If you are, you know my pain. That got a little away from me there, I think. Let's, yeah, because I was so far away from it, I can't see it, so. All right, so let's smooth it out. So this is actually good because you can see on camera what you can do when you mess it up a little bit. It's really forgivable. Or forgivable? No, forgiving. This clay is really forgiving. So, and I think I'm just going to do that because I think that's what the problem was. It's such a small piece that if you put too many lines, it just looks like a mess. All right, and then let me see if I can get this without too much fuss. All right, I think I got it. All right. Not too bad, not too bad. And then we're going to have a little, let me see if I can get it a little rounder there. Just very gently, just kind of pushing on it. And there we go. There's a little cap, a little tiny cap. Isn't that cute? That is so cute. All right, now I need 5 stems to go with these 5 caps. All right, so we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to condition the clay. Okay. And then we're going to just kind of give it a rough form like that. And I kind of want it just to be like the width that is in this center here. And I don't want them too tall because I need them to be sturdy. And I need the bottom to be flat because it's going to sit on a flat surface. Okay, now let's see which one is going to be our first victim. We'll grab this one. And I'm going to grab a little bit of slip. But before I do that, I want to poke some holes on the inside of this. And on the top of this, I just want to poke some holes there so that when I put this slip in there, it'll like sort of go into those grooves. And it'll set in those grooves and help set the piece. Okay. So that's just kind of what I did with the slip. And then we're just going to gently but firmly kind of push it in. And we can clean up the excess clay. Try and do it without messing too much with the gills that I made. Or I can just blend it in. That's perfectly fine. All right, and I'm going to set this. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to set this aside. You know what I didn't do? I did not put grooves in here. Let me see if I can do that really quick. You know, because you got to texturize these things, right? I was so busy chitter-chattering that I forgot that detail. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because it's not perfect in nature. I do want to kind of yeah, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't like that shape too much. All right, let me take some water. See if I can smooth that out a little bit. It's got like fingernail marks in it and stuff. All right, and let me wiggle the lines a little bit. You know, my shakiness actually works to my advantage in this situation. Okay, it's going to be a short, stout one. All right, now let's do a better job of the next one. Let's see. Let's see how this one goes. The really challenging one, I think, is going to be this tiny one. because doing very tiny details, I found out from experience, is a little bit difficult with this clay. But it is forgiving. So one of the things I'm trying to do with this shape, which is a little off with that one, the first one I did, or this one I just did, I'm trying to make it so that the top is just a smidge, maybe a smidge thinner. Not too much, but just a smidge thinner than because that's kind of, you know, the stems usually are, you know, wider at the bottom, and they kind of come in like that. But I don't want to make them too thin because, again, this clay is, I found that it's not the greatest clay to use with very, very tiny items. It can be hard to mold very, very small bits of things. So if you have very, very tiny details and you're not experienced with clay, this might not be the clay for you, but I mean, for basic stuff, it works well. All right, now let's see if we can see if the second time is the charm. Yeah, I like it. Look. Okay, so that was how the first one was supposed to go. And the way that I'm having to let these dry is I have to set them up against something. I'm just going to leave it for now on here, but I found with this one that I kind of had to stand it up on its cap and then lean it up against something to get the stems to dry straight, to set straight. But I'll do that. I'll do that off camera. Let's see if I can do the really tiny one. So in today's video, I'm doing this, just making them out of clay. They are meant for a project or finishing touches for a couple of massive fairy houses that I made. And so I want them to be decorative, so I'm going to be painting them and varnishing them and all that stuff. But I will be doing that as a continuation of this video on Patreon for my Patreon subscribers. So if you are not subscribed to me on Patreon, I'm just getting started with it. I have a lot of new material planned going forward. I haven't done a lot with it lately because I've been working on these massive fairy house projects, and I haven't really had time to do anything else except just work on them. This is like the finishing touches for them. And once these go on, those projects will be done and I can unveil them. And then I have a whole lot of Celtic art that I have to finish, wood-burned art, pyrography. So, oh my God, this is adorable. Ah, if I don't ruin it first. That's adorable, huh? Really cute. If I can get it to stay together, it'd be awesome. Really, really cute. All right. So I have two more. I have these two that I need to make stems for. And then that'll be the end of today's video. They will sit and they will dry for a couple of days. I have noticed that it takes at least 2 days for solid forms like this to dry. If you were using like a form underneath of them and you had a thin layer of clay, it may be a day, but let's see. That's good. That's a good height for that, I think. Yeah, so drying times will be anywhere from like a day to 2 days. Depending on the thickness of your clay, depending on the size of your piece. And yeah, you don't want to start painting them or varnishing them or anything else until they are fully dry. So now once these are set, if I look at them and I'm like, you know, I think I need to do some changes, you know, you can grab some files, nail files. I have all kinds of tools on hand that you can use to file them. You can use water and slip and kind of re-wet them and then kind of re-sculpt the details. That's the one good thing about air dry clay. You can do that. It's very forgivable that way. Just don't want to use too much slip here because as you saw from the first rendition I did, it oozes out the side. And I want it to stick without a mess. Okay. All right, and that's a conical one. That's kind of cute. What do you think? That's kind of cute. Okay, so we're going to put that off to the side. And then I'm going to make the last stem for this little guy here. So yeah, the rest of this is going to be me painting this piece, these pieces. We'll be putting paint on them. So the rest of this, the second part to this video, let's just say, is going to be the painting process, painting and varnishing process. And you can find that on Patreon. I'm trying to revamp my Patreon. It is going to be $4 a month, I think, and I'm going to try going forward. I haven't been doing a lot there lately, I know that, but I'm going to try going forward to do like 2 videos a month there. And then as I do smaller stuff, I'll post updates and stuff in my Patreon for you guys. And if you have any ideas about what you would like to see there, let me know. But basically it'll be like fairy DIYs, faux floral DIYs, and Celtic art. That's kind of what I do, so that's what's going to be there. You can follow me on all my socials. You can follow me on Substack because I also write. I started a Substack page. And you can follow my blog on my regular website, which usually these kind of projects have some kind of blog to go with them. This one will as well. There'll be a step-by-step blog about this. So follow me on that. Sign up for my newsletters because when I put new stuff out, including blogs, I'm trying to send out newsletters to let people know. So you can do that. Follow me on my socials. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. If you like it, share it to people. Give me a thumbs up. Do all that stuff. Comment, because every bit of interaction you have with my video helps push it out there to more people. And I am trying to monetize my videos. I am like this close to monetizing my videos. I just need just a little bit more views. So if you guys can help me out with that, that would be awesome. And other than that, I'm trying to think about what else. Storing the, before I go, I just want to tell you how to store this clay, because it will dry out. It's air dry clay, so it's going to dry in the air. It won't dry like super quick, but it will dry. So before I sign off here, let me just show you how you need to, I mean, they tell me these are resealable. I guess they are, but you know what? I don't have the patience to figure out how to get it back in the proper shape. So what I use for my clay is like a resealable freezer bag. And when you put your clay in these bags, and get into the camera a little bit. Okay, so when you put your clay in these bags, in any kind of resealable bag, right? Squeeze the air out of it. Okay? Squeeze the air out of it. And then it'll stay for quite a while. Okay? You may need to go back in and recondition it when you pull it out of the bag. You will have to recondition it because it will get a little bit hard, but you just recondition it, use a little bit of water, knead it like dough, and then we will, and then you can get it to soften up. You can add a little bit of water to it, and you can soften it up. So that's how you store your air dry clay when you're done. I think we got a few really cool pieces if I can line these up without messing them up. Let's see. Can I line them up? All right, there we go. That's what we did today. Okay, so I got my big one that I did the other day, and then I got my smallest one, and I got a few sizes in between, which will work perfectly for my projects. All right, so don't forget to like, subscribe, all that stuff, and stay tuned for the second part of this, which is where I paint all of these and attach them to my project. But that is going to be on Patreon for Patreon members. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this quick DIY with clay, with air dry clay, and let me know in the comments what you thought. If you have any extra tips, feel free to share them with everybody. And other than that, have a great day and happy creating. Bye-bye.